This season, the New York Jets, they're going to face the AFC South, and how they fare against that division could go a long way towards them making the postseason. So let's preview these matchups. We're going to do it with a man who knows the AFC South division extremely well. His name is Mike Patton. He is the host of the Touring the AFC South podcast, and he joins me now. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Football is here. I know you're a big football fan. You obviously cover this division. It's that time. Football season is here. So, Mike, let's get started. We're going to tour the AFC South, which is what you do. And we're going to go in order of the AFC South teams that the Jets play. So they faced the Titans in Nashville in Week 2. And Tennessee finished last place in the division last season. Gone are Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. So who are these new-look Titans, and can they make any noise in 2024?
Well, the New Look Titans are definitely a team that's going to be a pass-first offense. Of course, bringing in Calvin Ridley, stealing him from the Jaguars, bringing over Tyler Boyd, and then also along the way bringing on the Callahans. That would be Brian Callahan, who was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals last season, and Bill Callahan, who is the best offensive line coach in football. Then, of course, you signed Lloyd Cushenberry, who is the top-rated center on the market. You draft J.C. Latham. And you bring in Tony Pollard to be a tag team partner with Tajay Spears. Now you have a lot of interchangeable parts and a different style of offense that's going to be more of a pass-first offense. And essentially, this is going to be a showcase for Will Levis to see if he's going to be the quarterback of the future for this Tennessee Titans team. For those that don't know, he's a second-round draft pick out of the University of Kentucky. He has a 4-year deal, of course, with any first-round picks. They have 5 years. So this is a very, very crucial year for him as a quarterback to see if he's going to be the guy. Of course, defensively, you had L'Jarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, Kenneth Murray from the Chargers, and also Ernest Jones from the Rams that they traded for during camp. And, of course, you can't forget Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams will be there, which Jamal Adams is not going to be playing this week, by the way, with the hip injury.
Yeah, I think the Titans very interesting team in terms of it's a lot of change, a lot of things new. They got to figure out what's going on with Levis at the quarterback position. So that's a team the Jets may see in Week 2 that is in transition and trying to figure out where they are. Now, Mike, Halloween night in Week 9, Gang Green, they host the Texans. Houston, they're the favorites to win this division, coming off of a great year in 2023 with rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud. And some pundits have very lofty expectations for the Texans. So, Mike, how do you view Houston, and how good do you believe they can be this season?
I view Houston as a team that has expectations this year as opposed to last year not having any expectations at all. No one expected Houston to win this division last year. And in fact, everyone thought it was going to be Jacksonville and everyone else. So this year, of course, expectations are there. You had Stephon Diggs, you had Joe Mixon and running back. You definitely spent some money defensively at Danico Autry and Azeez Al-Shire from the Tennessee Titans, as well as Daniil Autry from the Vikings. And now you have a team that is expected to go to the playoffs, not only go to the playoffs, but fare as well as potentially the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. That is the expectation this year for this Houston Texans team, because right now they're not paying C.J. Stroud, but eventually there's going to come a time where they're going to have to pay him along with Will Anderson Jr. So that's the expectation. The expectation is Super Bowl. The expectation is AFC Championship at least. And the pressure is definitely on to make that happen before they have to pay those two guys in Stroud and Anderson Jr.
Well, things have really changed in H-Town. Expectations are sky high. And as you know, Mike, it's always good when you can try to win with a quarterback who you aren't paying that much before you have to pay him. So we'll see if Houston is able to do that. Now, you're right. The expectations were not there for Houston to win the division last year. And then this year, the Jets play and host the Colts in Week 11. They have second-year quarterback Anthony Richardson under center. And the Colts, look, to the point of the expectations with the Texans, they were a win away from the playoffs last season, but they ended up falling to the Texans in Week 18. They were that close without Richardson for most of the season. So is Indy underrated headed into this 2024 season?
I would say they're potentially underrated, but you don't know what you have in a quarterback in Anthony Richardson. He only played 4 games, and at that, he didn't finish 4 games. So you don't necessarily know what you have in that. So I would say they're they're underrated, but they're appropriately rated. They're going to be a team that competes potentially for this division. It just depends upon, of course, Anthony Richardson and his production, the offensive line being the bullies they were up front last year, Jonathan Taylor being there for an entire season this year. And it also depends on that defense, more importantly, the secondary, because they're a little rough back there in the secondary when it comes to Nick Cross. He's going to have to step up at safety. You're going to have Juju Brents, he's a 6'3", 198-pound corner in the mold of Richard Sherman, which, for their defensive coordinator, he was the coordinator, Gus Bradley, for the Legion of Boom. So that kind of is a guy that looks familiar for him. But the opposite side, there is a corner there that no one knows who he is. Kenny Moore is a great slot corner, but there's no corner on the opposite side that anyone fears, and that's going to be the adventure for the Colts this year when it comes to their defense. But overall, they are a appropriately rated team, in my opinion.
Okay, appropriately rated. Think they have a chance to compete for the division. We'll see, but as you're right, a lot of unknowns around Anthony Richardson because he did not play much last season. Now, the Jets, they finish up their tour of the AFC South on December 15th in Week 14 as they visit the Jaguars. Now, Mike, I think the Jaguars, they're the most interesting team in this division. The reason I feel that way is because of their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Now, Mike, my question for you is, where are you on the former first overall pick, and how important is Lawrence making a leap this season to the Jags' success in 2024?
Well, when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I'm more of a I don't know what he is yet guy, because he has been a roller coaster ride ever since his second year. I won't include his first year because that was under Urban Meyer, and we know how that went. But he's had moments where he's been great. He's had moments where he's been bad, and then he's never really had any moments in between. So the thing for him this year that the expectation should be is consistency in terms of his performance on the field. I know he did lose Calvin Ridley. They did bring in Brian Thomas Jr. through the draft. They also brought in Gabriel Davis from the Buffalo Bills. So it's going to be interesting just to see if he can provide that consistency. And if he provides that consistency at quarterback and his performance, I think that this team can go and actually compete for this division with the Houston Texans.
All right, got the Jaguars also with a chance to compete for the division with the Houston Texans, who we have noted are the favorites, but the Colts and Jags could make some noise in the division. So look, the Jets, they're going to be playing a pretty competitive division in the AFC South. That is Mike Patton. He does a great job of hosting Touring the AFC South. Check that out. Mike, great job. Thank you for the breakdown. We will connect again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Anytime.